Welcome. Today, we're going to talk about dominating basketball after COVID and considerations for performing at your best. To analyze your current situation a little bit, this is likely the longest you've been away from the gym since you started playing basketball. Also, motivation to work out at home has understandably been low, even amongst the dedicated. I've talked to countless people who have given me story after story about how motivation right now is not on high, okay? When you don't have a gym to go to, maybe that's changing now, but over the last couple months, and things like that. And lastly, you won't have another offseason that provides this much time for development for the rest of your basketball career, okay? And obviously, unless worst case scenario, we go into a second round of the same stuff, it's not likely that you get an opportunity like this again. And that's exactly what it is. It's a huge opportunity. We're going to get into this a little bit more. So for you, this means you are probably experiencing, whether you've noticed it yet or not, decreased performance due to the time away from the court and from strength and conditioning, okay? Assuming you are doing something beforehand. They both contribute to an increased risk of injury due to the decreased muscular strength and loss of tendon resiliency. We're going to talk more about tendons soon. And due to the length of time available here, those that took this seriously are going to be light years ahead when playing starts up again. Okay, there's going to be a noticeable difference. Now, if you've been lying around like this guy here, it's not too late. There's time to get on track, okay? There's a lot that you can do, but you have to start today, okay? Now, tendons. You can see here from this picture, that white area that goes from the heel up into the pink muscle belly. You might recognize it, that's the Achilles tendon, okay? Tendons, their only job is to attach the muscle to the bone, okay? Now, tendon stiffness is kind of the topic of discussion here. During periods of inactivity, tendon stiffness actually increases, which results in something that feels like increased performance. The tendon's a little stiffer, a little springier. You might feel faster. You might jump a little higher. Okay, but with that increased tendon stiffness, there's also been a decrease in collagen. And collagen is the stuff that builds up the tendon that makes it strong. So Dr. Keith Barr termed this the brittle tendon. So it's stiff, which is fun, it's athletic, but it's not strong. So it becomes brittle. You think of like, if you think of a pasta noodle, okay, when it's dry, when it's stiff, it snaps really, really easily. But when it's been cooked, it's nice and pliable, right? And it's not gonna snap. Not the same way it would when it's dry. So when we think about tendons, we want to think about having a balance of stiffness and pliability, because it's that pliability that's going to decrease your risk of injury. Now, as far as building up collagen goes, that this is kind of like the strength and resiliency of the tendon. You have to apply force or load, whatever term makes more sense to you, to build collagen. You have to put something into the tissue. Now, this can be done with strength training. It can be done with running and jumping. It can be done with long duration isometrics, but you have to get the tissues working. Okay, now there's two different ways we can do this, and obviously it's a spectrum, but fast loading, that's something like a jump or a sprint, like I said, is going to increase the stiffness. And like I was saying earlier, this is going to enhance your athleticism, but because it's getting stiffer through loading and not through rest, you're also going to be strengthening the tissue. Now, if we go on the extreme end of stiffness, even with the collagen building and things like that, it's still going to increase our chance of injury. So we have to have a bit of that pliability in there. It's the slow loading, like your heavy strength training, long duration isometrics, that are going to decrease the stiffness of the tendon in a way that's going to allow you to do more of the fast stuff without getting hurt. Okay? In other words, fast is athletic, slow is healthy and resilient. You need both under high forces to create healthy and athletic muscular tendon systems. Okay? The muscle needs to be strong. The tendon needs to be strong. Needs to have stiffness aspects and pliability aspects. Okay? Moving along here. Can this be prevented? I don't claim to have the answers. As you can see, even the best in the world are not immune to these issues, these tendon-related issues. What I do know is that a long period of rest, like you've just gone through, is going to greatly increase your injury risk. And incorporating both slow and fast loading strategies will decrease that risk when it's time to step back on the court. Now, why is your offseason so valuable in the first place? You might have heard guys like me, strength coaches, or even basketball coaches preach the offseason. And some of you might be wondering, well, in season's so much more fun, right? And yeah, that's what it's all about. That's what the work is for. But this stress recovery adaptation graph beautifully lays out why the offseason is so important. Because if we're looking to create adaptation, if you're trying to increase your vertical jump or put on muscle or just overall get faster, more athletic, increase your separation ability, things like that, you have to apply stresses like you can see on the graph, which then lead to a dip in performance. If you follow that red line, the stress occurs, that's your workout. Performance goes down because you've fatigued the system. And then you allow recovery, which brings the curve back up. And then adaptation occurs where you recover better than where you started. Now, if you think about this graph, in a perfect world, you can alternate. You can stress and recover and adapt. Stress, recover, adapt. Now, what do you think happens if we try to do this and don't modify it in season when you have games and practices and maybe exams and everything else that goes on in your school year? Instead of the stress, recover, adapt, you're going to get stress, 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 stress. And then a bit of recovery, stress. Okay? So this is where fatigue management and things come in season. And this is huge when it comes to real development, because in the off season, we have room to create really nice adaptation and really make change. I'm not saying you cannot improve in season. You absolutely can. There's just limitations around it, and things are going to happen a little more slowly. Okay, so as far as the off season, it's a chance to step away from your sport, let your body recover, because like I said, stress stacks through the season. Not just physical, but emotional stresses, social stresses, all that stuff adds. You can make substantial gains in your athleticism through the off season, but you need to train hard and consistently, and it's hard to do that in season. Okay. Now, I left this point here at the end. It's your fundamental basic requirement to show up to practice and work hard. You're not going to separate yourself from the pack doing that every day. You have to take another step if you're trying to be great or even really good at what you do. You need to put that extra work in. You need to think about these strength and conditioning aspects, because the bottom line is, if you truly wanted to play in college or you truly wanted to play pro, if that was really the goal, you have to be thinking about building the body that's going to last that long? Are you trying to be as good as possible over your high school career and then call it quits? If so, that's fine. But if you want to take that next step, you have to think about, am I going to stay healthy for that long? Will I have the strength and athleticism to hang with athletes at that next level? Okay. And a million other factors around that. So if that's something that you want, you have to be thinking about this right now and where you're going to be and what body you need to create for that. Now, thinking big picture, I left this quote in here, and I think it ties in perfectly with what I was just saying. Do something today that your future self will thank you for. Okay, it sounds really fluffy and things like that, but honestly, like, if you're grade 9 or grade 10, whatever the case is, picture yourself freshman in college or university. Okay, are you going to wish, at that point, are you going to wish that right now you had put in the work to add strength, add athleticism, make sure your joints are healthy? Because you do not want to be in a position where you're fighting to catch up athletically while you're fighting against injuries, while you're fighting with adjusting to a new school or a new city or anything like that. So here's a little exercise you can do. This is just thinking about the grand scheme of high school, assuming maybe you're early in your high school years, or even not even in high school yet. Think about your typical off season in weeks. How many weeks do you get where there's no games? Okay. So this might either be between your high school and your summer ball season, or between summer and high school seasons. So think about that number of weeks. Multiply that by how many years you have before you graduate high school. Okay, for you it might be more than 4. But think about that. Now you've got a number of weeks for the rest until you graduate high school that you can really drive the adaptation process to its peak, to its highest potential until you graduate. Okay? Of course, development can happen in between, but there's going to be limitations on it. Now, compare that number to the number of weeks left until you might be back on the court. Okay? For different areas, it's going to look different. Things are starting to change. Some people might have actual dates of when they'll be competing again. How many weeks do you have left? And now compare that to the number we just talked about. How many years, are there more weeks right now left than what your typical off season is? Like, do you still have more time left than your normal off season? You can drive potentially multiple years worth, hypothetically, of development over this rest of the year. Okay, especially if you're not playing until January 2021, you have months. That might be more than how much development time you originally would have had for your rest of their high school career. Okay? So how are you going to take advantage of this huge opportunity to drive development and start working, doing something that your future self will thank you for? Now, if you're seeking guidance, I have just launched the MHP online basketball strength and conditioning platform. The premise behind this is we go through a detailed assessment of movement qualities, performance testing, mobility, analyzing your goals, your equipment availability, the season that you're in, obviously the timeline, when will you be playing next, things like that. And all the programs are highly customized to your needs, and the point here is I'm trying to go beyond the PDF downloads, the training programs that you can pay $30 for, or some of these things get into the hundreds of dollars, and it's just a PDF that you download and run with, and that PDF knows nothing about you. It doesn't know what you need. It doesn't know what your goals are. It's not customized to your situation. Okay, so results are, if you get results, it's basically by chance, right? So the best part of all this, if you don't see results on my program, so how it works is with the monthly assessments, if you don't see results in 1 month, I'm relentlessly looking to try to figure out what was missing, what you might need that was not in the program, and I'm making adjustments, okay? Trying to break through whatever plateau you might have hit, okay? In the second month, that's a chance to retest, see if anything changed, if things got better, okay? By the end of that third month, if you haven't seen results accumulate, by that time, you get the 3 months of your money back, okay? I don't know of anyone else that offers anything like this. I don't think you'll find better coaching at a better price, at a better value anywhere else. That's just, I've looked for it. I haven't found anything. So to learn more about this, if you're interested, you can hit the link there. It's millerhumanperformance.com/basketball. Spots are limited because I can't possibly take on an unlimited amount of athletes while still providing this level of value. Okay, so sign up today to secure that spot. And you can see on the right there how it works. You sign up, we do the assessment, you get to work. By the way, all the programs have video demonstrations. I give you detailed notes on what I'm looking for. And you can actually upload video of yourself if you want to, doing the exercise, and I can give you feedback and adjust form and things like that. And then at the end of each month, we reassess, look at the performance numbers, and ensure things are going well. Okay, so again, hit that link, check it out, and jump on this before I have to shut it down. Okay, thanks everyone. Peace.